Hidden in the shadows, someone watches your every move. They see the world they carefully constructed begin to fall apart. Why? Because the people who once followed them without question are now turning away. They're no longer obeying, and the reason for this is you. Your refusal to comply with their demands sparks something in others. Just like you once obeyed them, others are now rebelling and questioning what they used to follow blindly. The puppet master never expected this. Your defiance set off a chain reaction that they couldn't control. Now, those who once followed the puppet master are turning to you. They see your courage and authenticity, and they want to follow you instead. As more people join your cause, the puppet master's power starts to weaken. Their authority begins to fade. They're not just afraid of losing control, they're most afraid of you showing others that they never needed control in the first place. Fear is a fragile foundation for power. Once it cracks, the entire structure can fall apart. The puppet master once ruled through manipulation and fear. Their strength came from keeping others in line with threats of punishment. It wasn't about respect, it was about obedience. They used lies and intimidation to maintain control. What they built was fragile, a carefully constructed illusion of power. Now, you are the reason that illusion is beginning to fall apart. It was never about fairness or true leadership, it was about dominance. They kept people in line by making them afraid of what would happen if they stepped out of line, fear of punishment, of exile, or worse. They convinced everyone that they were the highest authority, the one whose approval was desperately sought after, and whose anger no one dared face. People followed them because they feared the consequences of not doing so, not because they respected or admired them. That fear lasted for a long time, but eventually, it wasn't enough. Fear only works as long as people think they have no other choice. You showed them a different way. You simply left. Nothing bad happened. All the threats they made had no effect on you. You showed that freedom was possible, and the puppet master's hold on others was weak. The moment you stepped away from their influence, their control began to reveal how fragile it was. It wasn't about proving them wrong or fighting them, it was simply about stepping outside their system and showing others how weak their power really was. True power doesn't need to be enforced constantly. When someone truly has power, it doesn't require manipulation. But for the puppet master, their power was nothing but an illusion. Without you in their system, their foundation began to crack. At first, people watched in silence, unsure of what would happen. They whispered about your decision to leave, but no one dared to follow you yet. Then, something unexpected happened. You didn't fail. The consequences they threatened didn't come to pass. The sky didn't fall. The promises of punishment and regret turned out to be empty. As a result, people began to question. If you could leave and survive, why couldn't they? Doubts began to creep in. The loyalty that was once unquestioning now started to shift into skepticism. What began as whispers of doubt slowly grew louder. People started to see the puppet master for what they really were: not all-powerful, not wise, but desperate. First, they questioned. Then they resisted. Eventually, they openly rebelled. The puppet master's carefully constructed world was starting to crumble. You never asked to be a leader. You didn't want to lead a rebellion or try to take over. But by simply being true to yourself, you became a symbol of freedom. The people who once followed the puppet master are now looking to you. They see something in you that they no longer see in their former leader. You are no longer controlled by fear, obligation, or the need for approval. You move freely, unaffected by the mental games that once controlled their lives. This makes you a real threat to the puppet master. There's nothing more dangerous to a manipulator than someone who refuses to play their game. You've shown others that they don't need to remain under the puppet master's control. You've become a living example of freedom. As more people see this, your influence spreads without you even trying. The puppet master can no longer ignore it, and they know their time in control is running out. As you moved on, the puppet master's followers watched and waited for you to fail. They expected you to return, just like they had been told you would. But that moment never came. Instead, they saw you thriving, growing, and becoming stronger. You found peace and power without them, and they couldn't understand how that was possible. The puppet master's most loyal followers, the ones who once enforced their will, began to ask questions. They didn't voice their doubts immediately, but they were starting to wonder about the system they had followed for so long. They began experimenting with small acts of defiance. They ignored orders, thought for themselves, and questioned authority. When nothing happened, when they weren't punished for stepping out of line, the fear that had kept them in check started to fade away. As more people realized that they weren't going to be punished, the puppet master's grip loosened. People who had once been too afraid to challenge authority began questioning it. They started to see the truth. If you could leave, why couldn't they? The puppet master could see all this happening, and it terrified them. They knew that once someone experienced true freedom, there would be no going back. They didn't fear you because you were attacking them, they feared you because their own people were walking away. It wasn't about you being a leader, it was about the fact that their control was slipping away. The puppet master never wanted to lose control. They built everything on the belief that their word was law. But now, that foundation is cracking. People are questioning. More and more people are walking away. They no longer listen to the puppet master. Instead, they are listening to you. And the puppet master can't stand it. They never intended to lose control. The puppet master will do anything to regain it. They will manipulate, deceive, and create distractions. They will try to make you look irresponsible or dangerous. They might spread rumors about you, hoping to discredit you. They may even send spies to try and gather information, to stop the movement you've started. But all of this will fail. The truth is already out there, and once the truth is exposed, it cannot be hidden. Even if the puppet master still has a few loyal followers, their time is running out. They might try to lure you back, promising peace or reconciliation, but it's all part of the game. They don't care about making things right, they just want to regain control. You've outgrown them, and they can't accept it. The moment you saw through their manipulation, you became free. And now, there's no going back. The puppet master is struggling to hold everything together. They want to prove that no one can escape their power. If they can get you back, even for a moment, they can restore the illusion of control. But the truth is clear. You've already shown that their power was never real. And as more people wake up to this reality, their reign is coming to an end. People are no longer afraid of the puppet master. The once feared authority figure is now being ignored. The same people who used to worship them are now looking to you. The puppet master tried to maintain control by fear, but that power is fading fast. The truth has been revealed, and there's no turning back. The puppet master's time is over. The puppet master thought you would fail. They thought you couldn't survive without them. But instead, you flourished. You built a life free from their influence. You showed that their control was nothing but a facade. Now, the people who once enforced their rules are seeing the cracks in the system. The stories they were told no longer make sense, and the fear tactics no longer work. The empire that once seemed untouchable is now falling apart. The puppet master's reign is ending. People are waking up, questioning everything, and taking action. The truth is clear now, and no manipulation or lies can stop it. The puppet master is losing control, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. You are stepping fully into the power I've placed within you. Divine messages. Consider contributing through a super thanks. Whether it's $10, $20, $50 or more, your generosity helps us share these angelic messages with the world. Together, we can build a community of faith, hope, and love.